All right, I want to start off with saying Shalom. Of course, I want to give all praise to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Yahweh who the world ignorantly calls God, and Yahweh Shai who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And I just wanted to just do a quick video. I was listening to a podcast on the channel. You can look them up. They're called Debate Talk for You. They're basically, a popular channel to host religious debates, which I'm familiar with, and I've been watching them for a handful of years. But, they had one cat on there, like a half an hour ago, the debate ended. This cat called Vocab Malone, which we should all know who this character is, man. Now, he's basically like, his number one goal, outside of, teaching the gospel, who he calls Christ, is trying to debunk and to refute, this quote unquote black, Hebrew Israelites. They always have to put the word black in there. Just try to make it look like it's all racist, even though he knows that there's some white people who are in these quote unquote black Hebrew Israelite groups. Right? He won't just call them Hebrew Israelites. He'll just always have to add the word black in there just to play on people's emotions. But we're doing a basically like We Want Smoke, which is what the group called Sakari does, where you, as the viewer, you can call into the show and to just to chat like I do on my page. I do round table discussions, I like to call it, where you, the listener, can call in, and we can have a discussion about the scriptures, which is primarily, what we all focus our discussions around, is primarily the scriptures, right? That's, first and foremost, even if sometimes, might talk about personal things or, advice for certain circumstances or whatever, that's good too. But of course, at the forefront is the scriptures, because that's what this is all about. Right? We're all contending, for the faith, which is what? The belief in the scriptures. But anyway, I digress. Now, I was just listening, because it was a hot seat, they call it, where, everyone was calling in. They got 8 minutes, to ask vocab questions, and he'd have to answer them. And there was quite a few callers, I believe, maybe around 16 to 20, callers. But one of the brothers who called in was Bible Defender, but you would all know him, because he's from my podcast. He's usually on there with me. We usually co-host together on there. But he called in, to ask vocab, certain questions. He asked them about the MO. I got to use code word. Right, the MO, Revelation 13:16. And vocab was basically saying that it's like, oh, well, it's just like, allegiance, with Satan, or basically like sin or some type of bullshit like that. That's what it was saying. So Bible Defender, brought up, wait a second though. But it says that that everybody would have to receive this MO in order to buy and to trade. So how is it not a physical thing, but more like a spiritual thing? It just doesn't make any sense once you, further, digest the subject. It just doesn't make any sense what these guys are saying. And these are supposed to be, the top apologists, right? These are supposed to be the guys that, you can ask them anything about the scriptures, and they're supposed to be able to, give you a precise answer, to your question. Well, we find out by listening to them, they can't really do it. I'll give another example. Bible Defender asked them about the whole heliocentric model of the world, which is the world, that we're all told in school that the earth, revolves around the sun, and it's holding all of us upside down on a spinning beach ball. So Bible Defender asked him, well, can you show me, in the scriptures, just one scripture that supports this? And of course, vocab, he could not, show a scripture that supports that type of, model. There's no scripture he can give to support that. So he'll sit on there and say, and this is his direct statement, he said, oh, the earth isn't flat. So he'll just sit there and say that. But yeah, he can't give you the proof of what it is. Isn't that ironic? So he can tell you what something is not, but yet in the same breath, he can't tell you what it is. That's an illogical fallacy. So he couldn't go to, if he was smart, he would have tried to go to Isaiah 40 and verse 22. He would have went there. That would have been the smart answer to the question for him to do, just to try to trick the audience who is watching, to not make himself look stupid. Why? Because it says it's him that sits on the circle of the earth. So he should have pulled that one up so that the audience, doesn't think that he's stupid because he can't give an answer to the question. Which, of course, the verse, Isaiah 40 and 22, that doesn't prove that the world is a round, spinning globe, because it says the circle of the earth. The flat earth model is a circle. And then not only that, something can be a circle and not a ball at the same time. I'll give you a perfect example. A dinner plate or a car tire or a pizza, right? If I order a whole pizza pie, I'm not talking about one slice, but a whole pie of pizza, right? That's a circle. So is that a globe? Of course not, but it's still a circle, right? Okay, good. So we agree on that. So therefore we conclude that a circle is not something that's a ball that is like a sphere, like the earth that they tell us it is. And then Isaiah, he knew the difference between a ball and a circle. All you got to do is go to, what is that, Isaiah 22:18? So that he will surely violently turn and toss thee like a ball into a foreign country. Right, but he mentioned the word ball. So Isaiah knew that a ball and a circle are not the same thing. Otherwise, he would have said that it's him that sits on the ball of the earth. And that would prove that the world is this heliocentric model. But because it uses the word circle, it shows it's not the same, because as demonstrated, something can be flat and a circle at the same time. Alright, so it doesn't prove anything. If they try to go to that scripture, because that's the number one go-to. If you ask GMS about it, they'll give you that scripture. They can't explain what it means. No, they'll just throw that up at you and just, say, oh, that's what it is. It'd be as illogical as somebody, like, let me even say this. Literally 20 minutes ago, I got a comment from this guy named, what the hell's this guy's name? Daniel, which he was on a stream with us last week, right? Daniel, some of you might know who I'm talking about. But Daniel put up a comment and said, oh, John 3:16, proves that salvation is for everyone. So see, you guys don't know what you're talking about. So I respond and say that I agree that on face value, it looks as if it means salvation for everyone. However, once you look deeper into it and understand certain words, we come to the understanding, excuse my stutter, we come to the understanding that that's not so. I'll give you a perfect example. I can show you, going by Isaiah chapter, Isaiah 45 verse 17. It says that Israel is a world of its own. It's like, so wait a second. So now I have proof to show you that John 3:16, when it mentions the word world, right, that God sent his son to die for the world, I can show you that world is actually just referring to the nation of Israel. It's not talking about the entire world itself. Why? Because the Israelites or Israel as a whole is referred to as a world of its own in the scriptures. And then not only that, Christ said, if we go to, John 17 and verse 9, Christ said that he doesn't pray for the world. So wait, so if Christ didn't pray for the world, then how does he die for the whole world? That don't make no damn sense. We know, going by what Christ said out of his own mouth, Matthew 15:24, I am only sent unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Right, so Christ, the only people he came to save was the Israelites. It wasn't for the other nations. Christ only came for the Israelites, according to the scriptures. But by, these guys being slick, trying to, take certain words out of context or whatnot, they'll make it appear as if salvation is for everybody, who, doesn't matter who you are. You can be, a Chinese person, a Japanese person, a Caucasian. You could be the list could go on, but, those saying, oh, it doesn't matter who you believe, who you believe you are nationality-wise, hey, as long as you call upon, sweet Jesus, you can be saved. And that's totally not true. And I'll give a perfect example. If you go to, Acts, the 2nd chapter, I want to say verse 21 and 22, it mentions that whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. So I pause for a second and ask them, okay, so that verse, you're saying that verse proves that anybody can be saved? And of course they'll say, oh yeah, well see, it says anybody who calls upon the name of the Lord. So see. It's like, well, wait a second, go to the verse under it. It says what? Ye men of Israel, hear these words. Right. So the whosoever in that text was only talking to the Israelites. So that shows that you can take a verse out of context if you don't read the entire context of what's being spoken of, which is what these guys are doing, saying that salvation is for everyone. That's not true. And then this cat was talking about, oh, well, Jesus isn't black. You ask him, well, what color is he? Oh, well, I don't really know. So how the hell do you not know something, but yet you have the confidence to tell us what something isn't? That's ridiculous. That's the same line of stupidity as if I was to ask you, what are the chariots of the Most High that I read about in the scriptures? Because I claim they're UFOs, but if you were to tell me, oh, well, they're not UFOs, then I ask you, it's like, okay, cool. If they're not, could you please explain to me what they are, though? And then you say, oh, well, they're not UFOs, but I don't really know what they are. It's like, wait a second. If you don't know something, how the hell can you tell me what it's not? That's called an illogical fallacy. It's not logical. Right? If you don't know something, by what logic could you tell someone else they're wrong with their understanding? That just doesn't make any sense. And don't forget, this guy, Vocab Malone, this guy's been around for years, man. But we know a whole lot about this guy. Like, he has a book out there, man. He's an author of his own book. It's called, and you can look this up on Amazon, but it's called Barack Obama and the Black Hebrew Israelites, or something along those lines. You can look it up on Amazon. That shows you how dedicated this guy is, man, to what he's doing, as he went out of his way to write a book on it. I believe he's working on a second book, too. Let me see. Yeah, but this guy, as I said, man, these guys are, it's unbelievable. The guys think they're deep because they went to a theological seminary school, or as, Elder Apostle Dahar calls it, a theological cemetery school, right? Theological cemetery school is what these guys went to, So they think they're all deep, right? Think they know a little something. But here it is, when guys like myself, who are only half, vocab's age, we'll hop on and completely confound him on certain subjects in the scriptures. And I never went to college. Neither did I graduate high school either. So how is it that I can come on and confound this character who went through the theological seminary school, years of it, to learn what he knows now? That should tell you something. Why? Because we look into what we're saying, right? Like, I'll give an example. If I ask him what hell is in the Bible, he'll tell me that, hell is like a place that you go. I don't know if he teaches that if you go there right when you die, or if, it's a place that exists in the future. I haven't heard his understanding on that, so I don't want to misrepresent what he's saying. So someone's going to have to ask him that on his next stream. But, the point of the matter, man, is that, guys like Vocab, these guys don't really know what's going on. Right? These guys don't know what's going on. Well, first and foremost, they don't know the gospel of the scriptures. And then second of all, they don't know the prophecies. Like, I'll give you an example. If I ask him, well, what's the testimony of Christ? Do you have the testimony of Christ? I guarantee you, he'll tell me that he does have the testimony of Christ. So then I ask him, well, what is that exactly? And then he'll go to explain, and then he'll explain the story of Christ, right, as the testimony of Christ. But it's like, well, wait a second, though. Revelation 19:10, that the testimony of Christ is the spirit of prophecy. So wait a second. So you got the spirit and the testimony of Christ, you're telling me. But here it is, you didn't know that the testimony of Christ was the spirit of prophecy. You can read it yourself, Revelation 19:10. So, as I said, it's, it comes to a point, man, where these guys are just laughable. And Bible Defender, I got to give that brother credit, man, because he cut Vocab Malone 6 ways from Sunday, man. Vocab got cut. And I'm going to leave a link in the comment section down below. If you want to go listen to the stream, it's about 2.5 hours long. But if you want to listen to it, there's a link in the comment section. Just click that, and you can give the show a listen. But yeah, man, it's just, it's ridiculous. Oh, and then another cast came on, and they were giving Vocab a run for his money. He got a run from his money by all types of, people tonight, man. Trying to prove to him that, Jesus was a black man, who the Israelites are, certain things like that, which we already know about, but it's just, it's laughable, hearing what some of these guys have to say, man. And this guy, he's been at it for years, man. I believe he even went down with, he's dealt with Sakari. Everybody's met Sakari in person. He met Great Millstone and the Apostles in person, right? He met, majority of these groups, he personally knows them, right? He knows, right? He knows, certain of these groups in person. He's personally dealt with in real life, so he doesn't just know them over the internet. He actually knows these guys in real life, right? So, which I mentioned this as well, Flat Earth Boxer, which he don't really like me, but he was, we've had him on the show a couple times. He actually knows Vocab in real life, right? He actually knows Vocab. There's a video, I believe it's on Vocab's channel, where, Flat Earth Boxer came over to Vocab's house, and they had a debate, right there in Vocab's house. So it shows you that it's... Oh, and then I went on, in the comment section. I didn't call in tonight because I couldn't. But I was in the comment section, And here it is that someone in the comment section knew who I was, right? So it shows you, man, that you have an old saying that goes, it's a small world, right? Like how here it is, you'll be out somewhere and you run into somebody that you know but haven't seen in a couple years. And I can't even tell you how many times that's happened, man. Right, you're out somewhere and you run into somebody else that you actually know in real life, right? From a few years back, you might have been friends or whatever, and you run into them out of the blue, you know, just by coincidence, you know. But anyway, I'm not going to go for too much longer. I just wanted to just give a little commentary on that. As I said, there's a link down below. You know, will take you to the stream. Go ahead, give it a listen, and I'm going to say shalom.